A racing legend strapped into scarlet overalls, an engineer's voice crackling faintly in his ear, and a set of brakes that might or might not cooperate. That was the scene at Imola, where Lewis Hamilton discovered that the real danger was not the famous Tamburello chicane, but the silence on the other end of the radio. And the drama did not spring from a single failure, but brewed over several race weekends as minor misfires, an extra degree of distemperature here, a fraction of pedal travel there, combined into an unpredictable storm. By the time Ferrari arrived at Imola, Hamilton's once unshakable confidence had already been chipped away by a disqualification in Shanghai and a grueling midfield scrap in Suzuka. Hamilton flew through Friday's first practice at roughly 300 km per hour, convinced that Ferrari had finally found a sweet spot in the SF25 setup, posting the fifth fastest lap, barely a tenth behind Oscar Piastri's McLaren. But two tiny tweaks before the afternoon run, alterations so minor that in theory they should have been invisible, caused the brake balance to evaporate. Hamilton squeezed the pedal and felt nothing but uncertainty, muttering over the radio that the car's braking performance had become a lottery, echoing Charles Leclerc's earlier description of the warm-up procedure as horrendous. While Ferrari engineers later revealed the adjustments were limited to rear ride height and master cylinder preload, tolerances measuring less than half a millimetre. Yet that sliver was enough to push operating temperatures beyond 900 degrees Celsius and trigger uneven wear across the left front disc. But that was only the first crack in the armour. Every world-class driver trusts that a calm, authoritative voice will translate chaos into clarity. At Mercedes, that voice was Peter Bonington, while at Ferrari it is Riccardo Adami. Experienced, yes, but new to Hamilton. So when the brakes misbehaved and Hamilton asked for answers, Adami replied in clipped, non-committal phrases, offering no immediate plan, and analysts later noted the pair sounded on different wavelengths, a problem Ferrari had already promised to fix after terse exchanges in Australia. Yet the engineer's reserve left Hamilton effectively alone at 280 km per hour, with radio logs showing he asked 5 consecutive times for a brake map reset, while Adami's longest reply was 7 words. By comparison, Leclerc received 3 data-driven suggestions in the same 30-second window, and that disparity, tiny in real time, felt seismic inside the cockpit, and loneliness in a cockpit can grow louder with every corner. Curiously, both Ferrari cars suffered the same brake irregularities, yet the responses diverged. Leclerc, the homegrown star, received swift strategic adjustments, whereas Hamilton, the newcomer, heard hesitant suggestions and was even asked to stay behind Leclerc in Miami to keep the DRS, prompting his reply, "You want me to sit here the whole race?" That signalled simmering discontent. And insiders whisper that politics, not engineering, dictates whose feedback triggers instant action. Ferrari's senior mechanics defend the split strategy, arguing that Leclerc's data is baseline after 6 seasons in red, while Hamilton's supporters counter that a 7-time champion should never be asked to drive a compromised stint for the sake of telemetry. The tension is less about speed than hierarchy, and hierarchy, once questioned, can destabilise an entire team. When support appears unequal, trust starts to corrode. During 8 historic seasons at Mercedes, Hamilton and Bonington developed an almost telepathic shorthand. One word, even a single breath, could signal whether to attack or conserve. Yet whenever the paddock replays Ferrari's radio, fans compare it to that old symphony and hear only discordant notes. Former Ferrari engineer Luca Baldisseri warns that mismatched communication erodes a driver's instinct faster than any technical glitch. And Hamilton himself has joked that he could hear Bono's eyebrows raise when data spiked at the old team. An anecdote he repeated to Italian journalists at Imola. The humour thin, the warning clear. Data without empathy is just numbers scrolling on a screen, and instincts once dulled rarely sharpen overnight. By Saturday morning, Ferrari technicians admitted the braking inconsistency had haunted them all year, with Hamilton's car veering from stable to unpredictable, depending on pad temperature, disc batch, even ambient humidity. He called the phenomenon unprecedented in his 2-decade career. And for a driver famed for surgical late braking, that uncertainty is like asking a concert pianist to perform on sticky keys. Every pass into Rivazza becomes a gamble, measured in millimetres. Yet brake supplier Brembo insisted its components met specification, pointing instead to Ferrari's cooling duct philosophy, which channels hotter air across the inner face of the disc. Engineers have considered reverting to a design first tested in 2023, but doing so mid-season risks upsetting aerobalance. In other words, fix the brakes and you might break the car, yet the bigger gamble was unfolding off-track. Social media lit up faster than Imola's pit lane lights as clips of Hamilton's muted radio and screenshots of Adami's impassive pit wall stance raced across timelines. Reddit threads accused the engineer lineup of being B-grade, while Italian tabloids ran headlines wondering whether Ferrari had squandered a fortune by not importing Mercedes-level brainpower. And fans who once judged drivers purely on lap times now pass voice inflections, searching for evidence of loyalty or neglect. The crescendo peaked when Fernando Alonso, piloting an upgraded Aston Martin, outqualified both Ferraris and celebrated with a cheeky wave to the tifosi, a gesture that stung, showing what unity between driver and team can still achieve. Public pressure, however, was only tightening the internal vice. Team principal Frederic Vasseur faces a stark choice. Either reorganise the race engineering department around Hamilton's feedback or watch the seven-time champion's confidence evaporate. Multiple Italian outlets report that Hamilton requested a closed-door meeting before the Miami Grand Prix, seeking clearer lines of command. And insiders hint Ferrari may draft additional technical advisors mid-season, an extraordinary step that underlines the severity of the communication breakdown. One proposal involves seconding a small group from Ferrari's Gestione Sportiva simulator program to race weekends, creating a real-time backup channel that can feed Hamilton alternative strategies in less than 10 seconds. Yet implementing that system would require reshuffling trackside roles and could inflame existing turf wars. And for Vasseur, the clock is ticking as loudly as any rev counter. If a remedy is not found soon, the cost could stretch far beyond lost podiums. Lewis Hamilton came to Ferrari chasing a final chapter worthy of his legend. Instead, he has uncovered a fault line where mechanical fragility meets human misalignment. Brakes can be redesigned, but the trust between driver and engineer is forged, not fabricated. Until that bond strengthens, every lap remains a question mark, one that echoes through the Imola pine trees and into the very heart of Maranello. And the lesson is stark. In a sport measured to thousandths of a second, silence can be the most disastrous delay of all. If Ferrari heeds that warning, the Scarlet car could yet roar back with the fury of a prancing horse unchained, reminding the paddock that its legacy was built on audacity and unity, not on spreadsheets and committee decisions. If it ignores the call, Hamilton's move to Maranello may be remembered not as a masterstroke, but as motor racing's most poignant what-if, a cautionary tale whispered in hospitality suites, whenever a superstar signs for a team without first securing the human chemistry that turns data into destiny. For now, the tifosi wait in anxious hope. The technicians crunch numbers deep into the night, and Hamilton straps in, knowing that every green light is also a referendum on whether Ferrari has the courage to listen as fiercely as he dares to drive. If you found this breakdown as revealing as we did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more insider Formula One stories that go beyond the surface. What do you think? Is Ferrari failing Hamilton, or is there still time to turn things around? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss the next twist in this high-stakes F1 drama.